Greetings, YouTube and fellow traditionalist Catholics. This is Sergio Becerra II, and welcome back to my channel. And today we are continuing more of our Bible studies. And as you all remember, that I was finally going to be doing the basics, which is reading from the very beginning of the Bible by reading the book of Genesis. If you saw my last video, I was reading Genesis chapter 1 through 31. So I read through that whole chapter. So now we are going to be continuing more where we left off, and that is I'm going to be reading chapters 2 to 4, picking up where we left off, where God creates Adam, then finally creates Eve, and then they disobey God by eating the forbidden fruit, and then later kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and then later having to raise a family on their own. So we're going to get into that right now. So let's just go ahead. Got my trusty Do Your Readings Bible, and let's pick up where we left off. Here we go. Chapter 2. So the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the furniture of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had done. And he blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth, when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the heaven and the earth. And every plant of the field before it sprung up in the earth, and every herb of the ground before it grew. For the Lord God had not rained upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the earth. But a spring rose out of the earth, watering all the surface of the earth. And the Lord God formed man of the slime of the earth, and breathed into his face the breath of life, and man became a living soul. And the Lord God had planted a paradise of pleasure from the beginning, wherein he placed man, whom he had formed. And the Lord God brought forth of the ground all manner of trees, fair to behold, and pleasant to eat of. The tree of life also in the midst of paradise, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of the place of pleasure to water paradise, which from thence it divided into 4 heads. The name of the one is Pison, that is it which compasseth all the land of Ibleath, where gold groweth, and the gold of that land is very good. There was found bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it the same is it that compasseth all the land of Ethiopia. And the name of the third river is Tigris. The same passeth along by the Assyrians. And the fourth river is Euphrates. And the Lord God took man and put him into the paradise of pleasure, to dress it and to keep it. And he commanded him, saying, Of every tree of paradise thou shalt eat, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat. For in what day soever thou shalt eat of it, thou shalt die the death. And the Lord God said, It is not good for man to be alone. Let us make him a help, like unto himself. And the Lord God, having formed out of the ground all the beasts of the earth. And all the fowls of the air brought them to Adam to see what he would call them. For whatsoever Adam called any living creature, the same is its name. And Adam called all the beasts by their names, and all the fowls of the air, and all the cattle of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helper like himself. Then the Lord God cast a deep sleep upon Adam, and when he was fast asleep, he took one of his ribs and filled of flesh for it. And the Lord God built the rib which he took from Adam into a woman, and brought her to Adam. And Adam said, this now is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Wherefore a man shall leave father and mother, and shall cleave to his wife, and they call, and they shall be two in one flesh. And they were both naked, to wit, Adam and his wife were not ashamed. Now to chapter 3. Now the serpent was more suitable than any of the beasts of the earth, which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, why hath God commanded you that you should not eat of every tree of paradise? And the woman answered him, saying, of the fruit of the trees that are in paradise we do eat. But of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of paradise, God hath commanded us that we should not eat, and that we should not touch it, lest perhaps we die. And the serpent said to the woman, no, you shall not die the death. For God doth know that in what day soever you shall eat thereof, your eyes shall be opened, and you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. And the woman saw that the tree was good to eat, and fair to the eyes, and delightful to behold. And she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and gave to her husband who did eat. And the eyes of them both were opened, and when they perceived themselves to be naked, they sewed together fig leaves, and made themselves aprons. And when they heard the voice of the Lord God, waking in paradise, at the afternoon air, Adam and his wife hid themselves from the face of the Lord amidst the trees of paradise. And the Lord God called Adam, and said to him, where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in paradise, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and hid myself. And he said to him, and who hath told thee that thou wast naked? But that thou hast eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee thou shouldest not eat. And Adam said, the woman whom thou gavest me to be my companion gave me of the tree, and I did eat. And the Lord God said to the woman, why hast thou done this? And she answered, the serpent deceived me, and I did eat. And the Lord God said to the serpent, because thou hast done this thing, thou art cursed among all cattle and beasts of the earth. Upon thy breast shalt thou go, and earth shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. I will put enmities between thee and the woman, and thy seed and her seed. She shall crush thy head, and thou shalt lie in wait for her heel. To the woman also he said, I will multiply thy sorrows and thy conceptions. In sorrow shalt thou bring forth children, and thou shalt be under thy husband's power, and he shall have dominion over thee. And to Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened to the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat. Cursed is the earth in thy work, with labor and toil thou shalt eat thereof all the days of thy life. Thorns and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herbs of the earth. In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread till thou return to the earth, out of which thou wast taken, for dust thou art, and into dust thou shalt return. And Adam called the name of his wife Eve, because she was the mother of all the living. And the Lord God made for Adam and his wife garments of skins, and clothed them. And he said, behold, Adam is become as one of us, knowing good and evil. Know thereof, lest perhaps he put forth his hand and take also of the tree of life, and eat and live forever. And the Lord God sent him out of the paradise of pleasure to till the earth from which he was taken. And he cast out Adam, and placed before the paradise of pleasure cherubims and a flaming sword, turning every way to keep the way of the tree of life. Here we are, chapter 4. Adam knew Eve, his wife, who conceived and brought forth Cain, saying, I have gotten a man through God. And again she brought forth his brother Abel. And Abel was a shepherd, and Cain a husbandman. And it came to pass after many days that Cain offered of the fruits of the earth gifts to the Lord. Abel also offered of the firstlings of his flock, and of the and of the and of their fat. And the Lord had respected to Abel and to his offerings, but to Cain and his offerings he had no respect. And Cain was exceedingly angry, and his countenance fell. And the Lord said to him, why art thou angry, and why is thy countenance fallen? If thou do well, shalt thou not receive? But if ill, shall not sin forthwith he present at the door? But the lust thereof shall be under thee, and thou shalt have dominion over it. And Cain said to Abel his brother, let us go forth abroad. And when they were in the field, Cain rose up against his brother Abel, and slew him. And the Lord said to Cain, where is thy brother Abel? And he answered, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said to him, what hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth to me from the earth. Now, therefore, cursed shalt thou be upon the earth, which hath opened her mouth and received the blood of thy brother at thy hand. When thou shalt till it, it shall not yield to thee its fruit. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be upon the earth. And Cain said to the Lord, my iniquity is greater than that I may deserve pardon. Behold, thou dost cast me out this day from the face of the earth, and I shall be hidden from thy face. and I shall be a vagabond and a fugitive on the earth. Every one, therefore, that findeth me shall kill me. And the Lord said to him, No, it shall not be so. But whosoever shall kill Cain shall be punished sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, that whosoever found him shall not kill him. And Cain went out from the face of the Lord, and dwelt as a fugitive on the earth in the east side of Eden. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and brought forth Henoch, and he built a city, and called the name thereof by the name of his son Henoch. And Henoch begot Irad, and Irad begot Mavael, and Mavael begot Methuselah, and Methuselah begot Lamech, who took two wives. The name of the one was Ada, and the name of the other Selah. And Ada brought forth Jabal, who was the father of such as dwell in tents, and of herdsmen. And his brother's name was Jubal. He was the father of them that play upon the harp and the organs. Selah also brought forth Tubal-Cain, who was a hammerer and artificer in every work of brass and iron. And the sister of Tubal-Cain was Noma. And Lamech said to his wives, Ada and Selah, hear my voice, ye wives of Lamech, hearken to my speech, for I have slain a man to the wonder, for I have slain a man to the wanding of myself, and a stripling to my own bruising. Sevenfold vengeance shall be taken for Cain, but for Lamech 70 times sevenfold. Adam also knew his wife again, and brought forth a son, and called his name Seth, saying, God hath given me another seed for Abel, whom Cain slew. But to Seth also was born a son, whom he called Enos. This man began to call upon the name of the Lord. Okay, sorry that took a while. So I just wanted to get into when God created Adam and Eve, how they were deceived by the serpent, in other words, the devil, eating the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, no one knows exactly what kind of fruit they kind of ate. The Bible wasn't specific on what kind of fruit they ate. But when you look at a lot of Renaissance art, the first thing that artists came to mind was apple. Yeah, but we don't know what this forbidden fruit was. So, sorry. So we all know what happens. God finishes creating the earth and everything else in 6 days and rests on the seventh. Sorry, I'm just trying to fix something here. Try and go back to chapter 2. So God creates everything in 6 days, rests on the seventh, and blesses it. He creates Adam from the earth, and then shortly after creates Eve, but from Adam's own ribs, and creates the first woman. And then that's when the serpent itself, the devil, deceives Eve, telling her, "You will not die by eating the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. Go ahead and eat of it." What does Eve do? Well, we all know. She eats of it. therefore simply disobeying God. So this was like the first act of sin being committed by disobeying the Lord, eating the forbidden fruit, wherever that fruit was. We don't know. Like I said, a lot of artists during the Renaissance era would think apple. That's like the only thing that came to mind because, like I said, the Bible wasn't specific what fruit he ate. So once God knew about the fruit being eaten, well, sorry, Eve gives the fruit to Adam, and they both eat it, and that's when God discovers that they both have eaten from the tree of life, the forbidden tree of good and evil. Learned that they had disobeyed him, and they both cast out of the Garden of Eden. And and this is where God tells Adam, "You are the husband. You are in charge of everything. You are in charge of your wife. Your wife is to obey you at all costs." So that's what happens. They're both kicked out. They're both kicked out of the Garden of Eden, and since they were both born naked, God makes clothes for them, and they both are banished from the Garden of Eden. And this is where we see them starting creating their first family together, Cain and Abel. And from what I just read from chapter 4, it seems both have, I guess, in my interpretation of all of chapter 4, somewhat of a sibling dispute, like who was doing more in the name of God, things that were doing in God's name for his pleasure. So what does Cain do? Kills his own brother Abel. And Cain is in total denial, saying, "I didn't do anything to my brother. I don't know where he is." But now Cain is now a fugitive. So now he's on the run from the Lord, knowing that he might be discovered. And the way I interpret this carefully, Cain is never caught. And then therefore all throughout the rest of chapter 4, this is where we see more descendants of Adam and Eve through Cain, therefore building a family tree of that descended from Adam and Eve, that a descendants of Adam and Eve through Cain, and so on and so on. So that is as much as I could interpret, but it seems very simple the way how I read this carefully, because I've already read this. I mean, I've read these chapters more than once already, and I'm doing my best to interpret them, even having to research them. Okay, so I just covered chapters 2 through 4, and then I will be covering more chapters in the book of Genesis. So stay tuned for more updates on what's to become. All right then. Tell me what you think. Comment below, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell beside, and tell me what you think. All right, so that wraps it up for chapters 2 through 4. All right then. So see you in the next video, because I will be continuing more through the book of Genesis. So have a good day. Take care now. Have a blessed day, my friends. Goodbye.